We're back.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us earlier in the day. Thank you so much.
I love early day shows. If I could do all my shows during the day, I would do it. I absolutely love it.
I thought about after we went full time with AYS that I might move to 10 a.m. But I got so much shit I got to do that
you got offspring.
Yeah, I have offspring. And I love being the first because 7 o'clock makes love. I love that I get the full day and then to react, and I know what's coming. So I have all day to think about this shit. These 1 o'clock shows, they're okay, they're fine, but I like our spot. I think we'll keep it. But today we had to because of the baseball game. Carter, go ahead.
I don't know. There is something I want to shout out my mother-in-law. I don't think she's watching, but I do want to show you this.
Okay.
This was the I should have put this on. I didn't realize that was the same one, and then until it clicked. Look at that.
So we could have been twinsies. You know what's funny? Can I tell you something that's funny?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear it.
My mother or mother-in-law got me this one too.
No, there's no way.
I'm pretty sure it was my mother. Yeah.
Oh my God, I needed that, man.
There's only so much gear going around for us fat people.
I exactly. If you're chubby, you got to rock it, man. I've been on a row back kick, and my mother-in-law decided to switch it up, and now I'm just wearing a hoodie that's been through it all.
You know what's so funny? Me and Ben, my son, went to watch Captain America. By the way, Anthony Mackie from Louisiana, from New Orleans.
Of course, yeah.
I watched a game with Anthony Mackie once. He was sitting. I say I watched it with him, but he was sitting 2 rows behind me.
Nice. Yeah.
We have Saints season tickets. Dude was it was the funniest dude I've ever met in my life. He was yelling at Thomas Morstead. Thomas kicked a punt that was 39 yards, and he was screaming, "Morstead, what is that shit?" And Morstead like come to the sidelines like, "I don't know, Anthony Mackie." So Ben has been asking to go watch the movie, and I told him I'd take him. Okay. I felt so guilty. I went off my diet yesterday. Do you want to know the cheat meal that I had?
I've got to know. I really do.
Peanut M&Ms. Flawless victory.
Dude, the M&Ms, I'm with you on the M&M thing. Yeah.
I know. I'm only a peanut M&M guy. I don't like normal plain M&Ms. Those are trash.
Well, I'm like you. I would pull a Steve Smith Sr. and cheat as well. But I would cheat on my diet as well on the M&Ms. If they're there, if you're at a movie, you gotta have candy, man. You do.
All right, hold on. This Steve Smith thing is wild.
It is wild. It is wild. I had to pull a double entendre somewhere, but yeah.
The thing is, though, that I hate it for his wife and his kids because. What if this is fake?
It could be.
You know what I mean? And what are they going to do? Come out and defend themselves? What are they going to say? Like
nothing. But if you have them on, the smoking gun was a phone call.
But he didn't say he didn't say anything. He was just like, my bad.
I'm sorry. I mean, I would kind of be in shock as well if some random call. But I will say, if you are to partake in cheating, you should never save someone's name as the number 3. Like that's just suspicious as heck. Save him as like Bob Johnson or something like that.
Here's the thing too, though, that I got to bring out there. If you're going to cheat on your significant other, you're a piece of shit. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah, of course.
You're a piece of shit. Like,
I mean, yeah. I don't think that's a hot of all hot takes.
No, I mean, divorce the person before you. If you want to go out there and divorce them, but you don't want to do that because you got a shitload of money. And here's the thing that I've learned in this business, and it does happen with local media. You know who I'm talking about. The media business got some horny ass people in it.
Yeah. I mean,
Joy Taylor, Steve Smith, the local people that I hear are doing some finagling. I mean, it's just like, man, put your thing in your pants. Like, chill out, Peter Pan.
No, I mean, if some energy needs to be released from time to time, Blake, that would be
That's why you get married and you tell your wife, like, hey, I need this right now. You know.
I mean, sometimes though, it's not good enough. And honestly, Blake, a lot of it is ego, right? If you do what we do, you're going to have an invincible ego, and you say you can do whatever you want.
Well, but, Steve Smith, shame on you, sir. But you know what is interesting? These coaches coming out there saying that they don't want spring football games. Have you been seeing this?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly.
All right, let's talk about it a little bit. Do you think that LSU should stop doing spring games? Now, I did a poll. I don't know if you saw it. Like 90% of people either said they didn't care, which wasn't a lot of people, but majority, like 60% of people said that they want spring games. It's a fan engagement thing too.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think we should go away from it. And here's another thing too. It's one thing to do what the NFL's doing, but they do it in June and July and then go into August. They do OTAs, mini camps. The developmental piece is so much bigger in college.
Yes. And Blake, spring games are cheap to attend. They're just free. Go. They're free. Right. Okay. And the level of access you can have at spring games is ridiculous. It's where I met Damian Shanklin. It's where I interviewed Bryce Underwood and met his dad. And I know it's a sore subject, but that gave me some very vital information. I obviously didn't end up picking LSU, but it wasn't just that. It was, speaking with coaches. Players just kind of hang around the stadium after spring games. It's a far more relaxed environment. And on top of that, it's a day game. So it's a day game that happens at 1 p.m. All right. So I understand that it's hot as the Devil's ball sack at 1 p.m. I get it. But you can make a one-day trip. If I'm in Monroe, Louisiana, I get up at 6, 7 a.m., no traffic, get into Tiger Stadium to watch a football game. Now, it's not
normally they have baseball games right after.
Right. So it makes a lot of sense if you're a smart LSU fan and you want to experience it. I went to the spring game last year. I was able to film a lot of content. It was where we shot our opening thing. So I highly recommend people don't think they're too good for a spring game. And it's free seating. Get there early as you want and get as low as you want. And you can bring your whole family. I'm a huge spring game guy. And it's important to have an actual game. Ole Miss had a dunk contest. But yeah, just do like an actual game, even if it's not like the real thing. I think it is beneficial for your fan base.
I don't like the reasoning behind what Steve Sarkisian, Matt Rule, Lincoln Riley are saying. Lincoln Riley didn't even say anything. He made a spokesman go out there, and then he told Dave Wilson of ESPN that it's a fan engagement thing, so why do we have to attend? Well, buddy, no one's attending your home games during the season. Maybe you want to get your fan attendance back up. That's right. Number one. Number two, Williams-Nwaneri went into the portal this year and had a do not contact. Matt Rule's running his happy ass out there saying people are tampering. Buddy, you tampered.
Yes.
Right? Stop with the bullshit. And then this is the thing that bothers me. The national media and media in general will run out there and say, yeah, man, we got to get control of tampering. Brother, they're going to pay this kid roughly about $1 million and a half, and they tampered with him. Like, if I'm Eli Drinkwitz, I'm like, hey, bro.
Come on.
Come on now. Steve Sarkisian came out and said that he doesn't want people on his team to be seen in a spring game. Dog, if LSU wants to try to tamper with one of your players, they've been recruiting them since high school.
Right.
They know where these kids are at. And by the way, here's the problem. These coaches aren't talking to the players. This is what people don't get about this. They're talking to the agents.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, I need a safety. Listen, I'll tell you exactly how last offseason spring went.
Go on.
About 20 teams called these agents and said, we need defensive tackles. Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Florida, Florida State. They all were calling saying we need DTs. These agents go to these players saying, hey, man, you could probably make $1 million you got in the portal. They didn't say what team they were going to. So that is how it goes down. It has nothing to do with these coaches. I think it's soft, if I'm being honest. Offensive line play has gone down so drastically because you're taking reps away from them. Now, here's a solution I'd give you. You don't want to do it? I wish they would give the entire month of July that coaches can go on field, no pads, no helmets, but they could go through board drills. They can go through 7-on-7. They can do all these things. It would make the product that much better.
Yes.
Why are we they say that they don't want coaches to be there because they go on vacation. Here's the truth. You know what? Go on vacation. Go on a week and a half vacation. When you come back, you can go right into it. Don't take your vacation away, but let coaches be on the field with these players and the product will be better.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is and this is coming from a mostly football guy. You do a lot of baseball. The college football season is just the worst. I mean, it is literally the worst we have. And you're trying to take spring games away to make it even worse. And then on top of that, Blake, to your agent point, that's how it works in the pros too. Agents do the exact same thing. And if we're going to say college football is now a professional organization, well, that's what agents are being paid to do. This is professional sports. Hell, freaking Bill Belichick is a college football coach. Do you think he's going to come in and set up a college football program? No. He's setting up UNC to be the freaking Patriots. How they want to run is going to be like the New England Patriots. And you're going to see a lot more of that throughout football. So, it's making me question my overall love of college football. It'll always be there, but I mean, there's just so much change that goes along with it, and it's kind of exciting at the same time.
Yeah, listen, how about this? LSU, Brian Kelly, if there's a message, like there's two things that I would – well, number one, I do think we need a commissioner.
Yes.
I think these conferences need to sign a collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
That if you get caught tampering, if you're doing X, Y, and Z, you get popped. Number two, Carter, I feel as if, and this is not me being cocky, I feel as if that if I had that job, I could fix college football in literally 24 hours.
Yeah, you're too cocky.
No, I could fix it in 24 hours. Let me tell you how I'd fix it. I would openly go after Nebraska for tampering. I would make examples of team after they signed a collective bargaining agreement saying that these are the three things that you cannot do. I would open up the month of July and do exactly what I just told you. Okay. I would change the calendar for recruiting. I would literally change it, the calendar. If you want to early enroll, I am making signing day January the 20th till February the 28th.
Yes, totally with you on that.
Okay.
Totally with you. Yeah.
Okay, so I could do that in a 24-hour span.
Yeah, but you'd have to deal with the academic calendar stuff with the
then early enroll. Then early enroll. I mean, but here's the problem. These kids are signing in December. Okay, they've already put in paperwork in November and October to early enroll. The process of the date of when the actual early signing day is doesn't change. Newsflash to everybody. It doesn't change. So what? You're filing the paperwork. It is what it is. It's just a meaningless process. So, again, they're taking away tradition is what I hate. We could be so much better than what we are. Anyway.
Well, no. I know I always go to this take in the off season because it's nostalgia, but anything to bring back Bayou Bash were you able to ever attend one of those, Blake?
I attended one Brandon Taylor's senior year, I believe.
Yes,
for the 2011 team.
Yeah, the recruiting bash that they would hold. I don't think I'm saying the right name, but that was literally one of the coolest experiences. But if I was co-commissioner, I would definitely be alongside you, Blake, in fixing the signing periods. But we're just going to keep doing it, and it's still going to be a mess, and it's going to make, the person.
And listen to me.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that TV revenue is going to save everything. The federal court says NIL cannot go away. Collectives cannot go away. Teams are going to outbid you by TV revenue. It's literally what Miami just did to Wisconsin. See, people don't really follow what needs to be followed. It's about to get worse. Listen to me. I promise you this as God is my witness. Ted Cruz is over the NIL collective committee.
Right.
He's a representative in Austin and in Texas and in Texas A&M. Do you think Steve Sarkisian, who's had back-to-back Final Four appearances, is going to tell him to get rid of collectives when they've been able to buy whoever they want to buy? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's how it's going to be ran. So you better buckle up and get ready for it. All right, I got a question for you. Let's get to some LSU here.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Jawan Johnson moved to quarterback.
Yeah.
This ain't a Colin Hurley thing. The kid had already moved before that happened. Carter, it's a horrible move.
Yeah, I don't fully get it. I will say it will make LSU's practices during this offseason go smoother, just because it's one more quarterback in the room, right? I like as many.
Does he get through a spring and then realize he can't do it? That's my only problem.
Right. I don't understand moving him from DB from the get-go. And look, I want to shout out Pierce. I think he actually brought this up to me before. Man, I still want to see him play DB. And last year in this kind of quasi running back role,
he was excellent at star, by the way.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing about it was during the practices. I mean, there was some chatter about him actually playing a lot as the star nickel corner role. And what if he was actually like good at it? Would you have had to keep trotting out Major Burns and the list of players that played terribly at that role? So you put him at running back last year. It was okay. A lot of mistakes, but that's normal for a true freshman that was a quarterback at LCA, then a DB at LSU. Okay, let's put him at running back and see what happens.
Well, this problem started because me and you had been clamoring that Frank needed to go in the portal and get a running back.
Right.
And he didn't do it. So who got hurt?
John Emery. When John Emery got hurt, they had to move him because they felt like they needed the depth. No, we told you needed a running back because you thought that you getting back John Emery was going to save everything after the dude's been injured for how long? I mean, you couldn't count on John, and I love John, but you couldn't count on it. Carter, This is even this is a horrible move for him, in my opinion. And listen, I say that with all due respect to him, okay, because people will be like, well, Blake, it's his decision. You're right. You make your own decision. Buddy, you would be a starter right now if you were at Star. He'd be a starter right now. Yeah. Yeah. And I also think there's a piece of him knowing all the records that he holds. He's probably saying, well, if I just automatically become a DB or an RB and I never actually give QB a try, I'm always going to ask myself, what if? But my thing and what I would say to Jawan is, do you want to play? Then it's just that simple. Do you want to play? At quarterback, he's not going to play next year unless there are major injuries or if he's,
Michael Van Buren would have to really fall off,
which isn't going to happen. He's good. I really do like Van Buren. So look, I don't think there's now if he comes in and he just balls out of control and he becomes the top backup behind Garrett Nussmeier, then it was a very good decision. But he would give you so much value as a defensive back. That's the biggest value he would give this team right now, especially considering that I've heard the same thing as you have as far as Harlem Berry is concerned. He's pretty much locked in with everyone at LSU saying this at this point. He's pretty much locked himself a role as a year one guy. Harlem just got a year one grade from me. And I was very skeptical because he's not the biggest guy, but he's just so special with the
Kane
football.
Durham better watch out. He better watch out.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I think Kane's going to be so unfreaking believably good next year. But you know, with Juwan, I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But I still believe defensive back is his best position, and I think that's where he would thrive the most. But we'll see what this QB thing looks like.
He can't throw.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in a abbreviated air raid offense.
Yeah.
I even saw people on our media course saying, now put in a package for him. What package? I
don't know.
Start being realistic. Stop coming up with these dumbass takes about put in a package for him. What? They know what you're doing, you dumb son of a bitch. Like, they know what you're going to do. You can't just put in a guy that's a running back that's just going to come in there and just absolutely do so. What about the Wildcat? Yeah, okay, sure. Those offensive lines dominated. Right now, you don't know if you can bust a grape along your offensive line, which is why the whole Carius Kern, Weston Davis thing is a whole big deal. You know, I brought this up earlier. Everybody's talking to me about Carius Kern, by the way.
Yeah. I'm trying to, because I've gotten to know him a little bit.
Limit the expectations for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've hyped him up so much. I mean, like I got to know him. I got to see him play in person and talk to him. And I don't want to ever overhype any true freshman, especially one at offensive line. But I mean, the dude's a freak. I mean,
he's a freak.
He could do backflips, and he's massive.
Dude, he went in there and squatted 500. He's not even. He should be the senior prom.
Yeah, and I think he could be a really good power forward defensive lineman. He's unfreaking believably explosive. So I'm excited about him, and I do think he'll be a piece of this team next year.
Let me ask you this. This is the last week not the last time you and I are going to talk before spring, but not this Saturday, but the next. Spring football camp opens.
Yeah, that's here.
Is this the biggest spring in LSU's history when it comes to finding out answers? Because I got more questions now than I've ever had on any team since 2017. Like, I've never had this many level of questions about a team ever.
Yeah, Blake, I think one thing as LSU fans you need to come to grips with is this is the first mercenary team, right? This is the first, actual transfer portal class. I heard you talking about,
Would you put 2022 in that category?
Yes, but with Jarek Bernard Converse, who you mentioned, Greg Brooks, I mean, those guys were coming home to Louisiana. It made sense.
And we're starters.
Yes. So now you have a lot of guys with no real Louisiana ties that they weren't for sure going to pick LSU. You had to go out there, beat out a school like Tennessee that has a good collective and is really good at closing in on transfer portal guys. Josh Thompson's probably top 5 most important players on the roster right now for your success. You really had to get him in here, right? It wasn't like a lot of the LSU transfers of past that were just, kind of picking LSU because it was a homecoming of sorts. So this spring is going to be different because there's so many players that are coming in that are full all-out adults. They have played a lot of college football. They're year 3, year 4, year 5 kind of guys. And you really, really, really had to be competitive in NIL and be competitive with your vision and getting them in. So it's going to feel different. I'm not saying that there haven't been other recruits that are just like that per se, but to me, this is the first year that, kind of feels like what Ole Miss was last year with all the guys that they brought in.
Listen, man, I have more questions than 50 Cent's early 2000s hit 21 questions.
Oh, you got 22 of them.
I got more than that, man. I mean, I really do. Listen, I could make an argument that you really literally do have 22 questions.
Or you got as many questions as Jay-Z has problems. You might have 99 of them.
Well, Jay-Z got some real problems. Just ask the P. Diddy indictment. I mean, he's all up in that thing. Apparently,
I will not. I will not ever comment on that because I don't want a bunch of black SUVs outside my house.
Well, they can't do that. It's freedom of speech. All I would say is it wasn't the only thing that he was apparently into. That's what I'd say. I think you could say that there's a question mark for all 22 positions, starting positions.
Yes.
Because Pyburn's never been a full-time starter. Patrick Payton, everybody keeps clamoring that his effort sucks. I don't think you're ready in the interior of defensive line until Bo Davis puts his foot down and says it's time to go. By the way, that Sadir Mitchell, he might be 360 pounds. They're gonna run odd man front stuff. 2 defensive ends will stand up at the side on the edges. Get ready for that. That's coming. Number 3, what does Harold Perkins look like at star? What do you do with him? I saw Max Toscano's thing. You can't put a Matt House scheme and say that's the same exact thing of what Harold Perkins will look at star. You sent too much pressure from there. So I'm out on that. I don't think too, and the one thing you and I disagreed last week on, you can't throw them out there for just one down. They're going to know what you're doing.
But that's not necessarily true. I mean, you can do.
They 100% will know what you're doing. You're not bringing in Harold Perkins at star for him to go in coverage. You're not doing that.
Yeah, but like if you're bringing him in as a second and long and third and long guy, you don't necessarily have to bring him on every down or back him out or whatever. I still think
that makes my point even so. Then what are you doing on just because you keeping him out on first down means what exactly?
Well, it's a standard down, right? Like I would prefer using him as a. Let me ask you. So you want Harold Perkins on the field, like a similar snap share as like Major Burns or Swinson last year, like 70%, 70 to 80%.
Yeah, because you're sending it 50% of the time anyway.
So where do you want Harold Perkins to play? You
I would put him in start if you're based off the scheme. If you're going to send 50% of the time at pressure, Carter, the problem is that I don't think people have realized yet. He's going to be going up against tight ends and running backs rushing the passer. In rundowns, he'll be going up against tight ends in the running game. That's the part where I don't think people have fully understood the difference of where they're going. The reason he was so dynamic at star and you sent zero pressure was mainly due to the fact, that because he's lined up against those human beings. Here's the second thing. Harold Perkins had nothing to do with your interior defensive line getting dominated. And even with post-injury, you were worse. You were worse. From a statistical analysis, you were worse. You got dominated in the interior. That's not a Harold Perkins problem. That's an interior defensive line and linebacker problem and a safety problem for that matter. So we're clamoring on him because we're trying to find a role. Taking him out and doing whatever, it is a question mark. But based off the scheme that you're doing when you send that much pressure from that specific position, and I know that unless you do something astronomically crazy along your offensive line that he's matched, Carter, there's probably a 70 to 80% chance that the guys that would be blocking him would be a tight end or a running back. Unless you slide to him, which then are you going to slide away from Patrick Payton? Get out of here with that. It causes such great chaos that I think that if he gets back to where he is health-wise, you can't just throw him out there on those long and down situations. And here's the problem. The problem with putting him in on these long situations, you might not be good enough to be in those situations because your interior defensive line and your interior linebacking core can't get the job done. So even going back to the holistic thing about all these questions, what do you look like at corner? What do you look like at safety? Yeah. Your defensive line, Rudy Poo. Can you get after the passer at edge? Can you contain guys? Can you stop a running quarterback? Here's another one. Let me go ahead and get beat up for this one. Does your quarterback create 17 total turnovers? Can you run the football? Is Barian Brown actually a receiver or is he a gadget guy? Is Nick Anderson, who came in here hurt, will he not be hurt anymore? Can Chris Hilton put bubble wrap around himself And then when we get through August, just let him run a little bit and put him in bubble wrap.
Yeah,
About this team than anything.
It's kind of crazy. Like Flage is like someone that plays every minute of every game, every minute, like the most reliable player.
Did you see that Chris ran 23.5 miles an hour?
Yeah, I mean, he might be the fastest receiver since those Xavier Carter days. That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah. I used to put Xavier Carter at running back on NCAA football. One year he had 3,000 yards rushing.
Yeah. So to your point, you also just need all the coaches to step up. You mentioned Joe Sloan, previously. I mean, if he calls better plays, they're going to win more games next year. Play calling was an issue. So hopefully Alex Atkins comes in with some bright ideas and gets a run game going. And hopefully Garrett takes another step as well.
We shall see. Carter, the Power Bryant. Thank you for adjusting and being here with me.
Shout out Kim Mulkey getting it done yesterday.
750 wins. I don't get enough time to talk about basketball here.
I'm all women's basketball.
What did you think of the game yesterday? Look, I thought I listened to Kim's post game. That doesn't mean that I'm not listening to him or listening to her or watching him. I'm always watching. She's right on one thing. Michaela Williams is not talked about enough. Yeah,
I mean, I love Michaela. I've gotten to know her. She's been on the channel before, and man, I've actually not talked to her in over a year. But great family. None of this shocks me. I mean, there's
the three she hit. Jesus Christ, Carter. That's as clutch as it comes.
Yeah, she's just like blue collar, next level clutch player. I mean, there is a video, and I highly recommend everyone watch it. She's mopping the floor before a high school game. I mean, it's just those little things that builds that championship culture. So I'm just so freaking excited about what's next for her, and I'm excited for Dave Wilson and a few of the other role players stepping up and that amazing comeback victory. It was a thing of beauty. But my question for you, Blake, do you see this team as a one that could make another Final Four run?
No.
I'm right there. I'm about right there with you. But
I think they're an Elite Eight team. Michaela would have to go off again. And it depends on seeding, by the way.
Right. Like if they were to play, let's just say it's them versus UCLA. Well, they do a lot of good things to match up, versus UCLA and all the pressure.
I'll tell you who I want. I want Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number one team in the country. I want Notre Dame. And listen, I've never asked Kim Mulkey for a damn thing in my entire life. And she's from Hammond. I literally see her brother every other week. I've never asked for anything. And I could ask if I needed to. Let me just say this. I need her to beat the dog shit out of Notre Dame if they get matched up. I'm calling in all my chips.
Oh, so you're not mad at Notre Dame's women's team. You're just mad at Notre Dame.
Oh, I would rub that shit in. I would rub that shit in so bad. I'm going full cutthroat.
Henny Hidalgo doesn't know what hit her. She's not ready. She's not ready for Michaela.
I literally got a DM this weekend from a Notre Dame fan that told me that I got big titties. They are ruthless. They hate my guts.
Oh, they don't like me either. But I think you got some I mean, regular titties.
Really firm, good male titties.
Yeah, I just think they're. I was at your house not too long ago. I didn't get a chance to partake in seeing your upper body strength. But yeah, I just think you have a regular man chest. I don't. I mean, now you want to. I mean, there are a few SEC coaches that have some Salma Hayek.
Sam Pittman got them quadruple Fs.
I won't name them. You will. Because
Sammy got them hogs, baby.
I kind of wish I had some though. I mean, I just think it would.
No, you don't.
What do you think gets clicks, baby? If I had some Sylvia Sweeney's right here, I mean, I would freaking. This would be A
You know
true
those girls-
Power Hour LSU.
You know those girls that do the gambling videos? There's this
walking
girl
bets?
that walks the walking bets.
Then-
I'm like, come on, dude. The only reason that you keep going viral is because them things are bouncing around everywhere. She's like below 50% on her bets, by the way.
Yes. Worse than that.
Right. I mean, but them things is bouncing, and you know. Anyway,
I will tail those picks. Like, I mean, that's and now they all do the meme coins, and you lose that way too. So they're getting you both ways.
We're gonna do a Blake coin and a Carter coin. How about
Let's
that?
do it.
All right, got to get out of here. See you, buddy. We'll talk.